What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy, and today we are talking Game Week 33 preview, a video where I'm going to take you through the key talking points for this week and my own team and decisions that I'm going to make transfer-wise, captain-wise, and all that good stuff. Now, I've literally just recorded this, and in that video I said at the start that I'm having to record it at half-time in the Liverpool game. Unfortunately, I won't get a better chance or a better time to record it. I've got to go then. Liverpool were 3-0 up at half-time. And I do the video without knowing what was going to happen in the second half, and so be it. Hopefully anything I said would still be worthy of inclusion in the video. The problem is, I literally finished after 12 minutes, finished recording, clicked on Twitter as you do, and I saw that Salah is injured. And there's no way, even though I'd already recorded it and said that I haven't seen the second half, that I cannot talk about that Salah injury. So I'm re-recording now. We're going to jump straight into it. I'll go through the points of my team and everything like that. And hopefully there won't be too many key injuries or issues that happen in the second half. If there is, there's no way I can re-record this again. So if anything happens kind of in the last half hour of the match, so be it. I'll try and talk around that anyway. So let's just jump straight into it right now. So this is my team for this week. One quick change I've made from the last time I recorded, obviously you've not seen that, is I'm now captain Aubameyang. But I'll talk about Salah in just a sec. So same team as last week. Obviously, I wildcarded in Game Week 32. The plan was no transfer this week. That's still the plan, I think. But I'll talk about that in a minute. And obviously, again, going into Game Week 34, I've got 2 free transfers. I'll make some changes then. So, team-wise, this is how I'm probably going to set up. Morgan on the bench. I think that's a clean sheet for Leicester against Newcastle. Newcastle did have quite a few shots and stuff in the last game or so, but I just think that's a clean sheet for Leicester. I would like to play Morgan, but to be honest, I've got Mustafi, Vertonghen and Alonso, so I think that's fine. Then yeah, Aubameyang captain, because he's on penalties. He's got 5 and 6, playing a weak Southampton team. A weak, I just mean not very good. Aubameyang obviously is getting rested in Europe and stuff. I was looking at Salah, but if he's got an injury, surely he's going to be rested. So let's quickly move on. Rank 40,435. I spoke more about that in the review that I did, so if you want to check that out, go ahead. Hopefully now I can kick on to the top 10k after another green arrow. Fingers crossed. But the big news, Salah injury. Now, I'll say right now, I don't know how injured he is. I don't know what type of injury it is. People on Twitter are saying it's a groin injury. They're saying it happened off camera with no contact, so potentially that's more serious if he's pulled up without any any major action or anything like that. We don't know yet. We'll have to find out. Chances are, though, with the game only a couple of days away at Everton, he's probably not going to be risked for that, because they're going to want to beat Man City in the second leg and go through. And Salah is obviously a key part of Klopp's plans and Liverpool's play. They're not going to want to do without him. So we'll have to wait for news. Hopefully we'll get some after the game in press conferences and stuff like that, and I'll make my decision from then. I'm not going to be in a rush to get rid of Salah. Got a lot of money tied up in him. They've got some good fixtures. He's obviously a goal-scoring machine this year, so I'm not in a rush to get rid of him, but I also wouldn't be too mad if I had to get rid of him, because I think it makes things more interesting, especially captain-wise, because I think for the last 6 game weeks you could potentially captain him in every game week that's not a double, which would be 4 of them. So I think an injury actually, although I don't want to see him injured, it would make FPL more interesting. So let's wait and see what the news is. If he's only out for a week, I'll probably keep him. If he's out for more, I'll probably look at how I can spend that money and probably get a double game week player. And already I'm thinking, okay, can I now get Kane and Sanchez in a bit easier? And that is really tempting. So if I could get Kane and Sanchez for the double game week, I'll be all up for that if Salah's out for a little bit. I think if he's out for kind of 2 or 3 game weeks, we've only 6 game weeks left, and we're going to talk about risk versus reward. There's not too much time to make up points, and I think I would just go for it and hope for the best. Only 1 game week, I'll probably keep. I can't really talk too much more about it in this video, but obviously I've got a stream tomorrow at 9:30 PM time in the UK, so if you want to come, we'll discuss it a bit further there. But yeah, Salah's injured. Well, wait and see how bad it is. It could have just been precautionary. He went straight down the tunnel. We don't know yet. So I don't want to speculate too much, depending on when you're reading this. You could be watching this. You could be watching this and you'll already know the news, in which case everything I've just said for the last couple of minutes is rubbish. So, moving on. Double Game Week 37. That was announced today officially. To be honest, if you've been following these videos, any FPL accounts, Twitter, YouTube, articles, all that stuff, then you knew that Double Game Week 37 was going to happen. It was so unlikely at that point, once the Double Game Week 34 ones were announced, that the rest wouldn't go into 37. So we now know that's when the rest are. Shouldn't change any plans, because you should already be planning. If you haven't been planning, then what are you doing with yourself? So yeah, Double Game Week 37 announced today, so I just wanted to talk about it. Sterling bench. Now, as I said, I only watched the first half of the Liverpool game. As far as I know, it's still 3-0. That could have changed. I think Pep made a bit of a mistake benching Sterling. I think he gave Liverpool too much respect, and actually Sterling does a great job of pressing, and they really missed that. Now, does it really change too much if you're a Sterling owner? Probably not. You're probably going to play him anyway. It seems more likely now that he'll play against Man United, but obviously they've got the second leg, which they now need to really do well in, because they're already so far behind in this one. Who knows what's happened in the second half. Hopefully Man City haven't come back to make it 3-3, because that's 3 away goals and then I'll look stupid. But yeah, Sterling benched means he's had a bit of a rest. It could have just been because it's at Anfield. They don't want him to go back to a stadium where he's likely to get booed a lot, have supporters on his back. You know, mentally that can probably be quite tough. So we'll see what happens with Sterling. I think it was a surprise to see him miss out, but I think you're probably not buying him anyway because he's got Man United and Spurs next. But if you've got him, you should probably be feeling pretty good about that right now. Kane plan, I don't want to talk about this too much because I did mention Kane in my Gameweek 33 Q&A. Now, again, when I recorded this just a minute ago, my kind of statement about it or talk about it was that my plan hasn't really changed. I'm probably going to go without him for Gameweek 34. But if Salah is out, I'd say that's almost 95% unlikely, because I can use that money from Salah to fund the Kane move a lot easier. So I think a lot more people will go for him in 34. Now, I don't want to make... I think right now, unless you're wildcard, if you're on a wildcard, I think bringing in Kane this week could be good, because he's actually going to be a bit of a differential. When is Harry Kane a differential? Not very often. If you're not on a wildcard like me and you've planned ahead, I think you can wait for Game Week 34, see what happens against Stoke. But let's say he scores a brace, a hat-trick, something like that. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily indicate what he's going to do in the double game weeks. He plays Man City, that's a tough game. Second game's Brighton away, but it does mean more people will bring him in, and that could hurt your rank even more if he does do well. So I'll be looking at bringing him in if he scores like a hat-trick, because I don't want to be left too far behind. But we'll see. Right now, the plan hasn't changed, but with Salah, plans can change quite a lot. Like I say, Salah is a lot of money. That's like nearly 10 million straight away that you can just you can spend and do lots of stuff with. And it's really going to differentiate teams, I hope. It's going to make captain choices tougher, and Harry Kane can now be a big part of our plans, even if he wasn't before. And then risk versus reward. The reason I want to touch on this is because I think I've already mentioned now, there's only 6 game weeks left. There's not too much time to make up rank. Now, a lot of people, when they talk about risk versus reward, they talk about ownership. And you know, you could be one of those people that just says ownership doesn't matter. I bring in whoever I want, whenever I want, as long as I think they're going to score points. I think ownership does kind of matter. It's a lot of the reasons why I've captained Salah in recent weeks, because I don't... Obviously, yes, I want to get the player that scores the most points. That's obvious, goes without saying. But like last week, I barely even considered Aubameyang. A lot of people said to me he could do really well. I didn't consider him because I knew that Salah, you basically can't be punished if you captain Salah. If he does well, then you've got his points. If he doesn't, then everyone else has captained him anyway. You're not going to lose rank just because of Salah, only because of other players in your team. And we know how big captaincy can be. So risk versus reward is interesting. I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments below of how risky a pick you'll make. I think there's a tendency sometimes to think you're far behind, or you're behind in the mini-league or something like that, and you've got to go super different. Like, we're talking 4, 5, 6 different players. And I think sometimes people don't realise that by taking out players with high ownership, they can really hurt you, especially for overall rank if they continue to do well. So for me, I'm 40k. Really, I need to start taking a few risks, but my team's not really set up for that. Some players have got low ownership, but they're kind of template, especially in mini-leagues. So I still, even though we're only 6 weeks out, I'm still kind of thinking I'm going to play it safe for a couple of weeks. We've got the double game week. Let's see what happens there. Not everyone's got their chips. I've got bench boost to play, free hit and triple captain. Those 3 chips alone should hopefully earn me some points. And things are tight in the top. I think I'm about 46 points-ish away from a top 10k spot, which isn't that much to make up in 6 game weeks, especially with all the chips left. That's why I don't want to take too many risks. I'd like to know if you're adopting a different strategy. Are you taking more risks to try and get that increase in rank? Obviously, if I play it safe, maybe, yeah, I can go from 40k to 10k. If I took some risk, could I go from 40k to 5k? Who knows, maybe. But then at the same time, if I take too many risks, maybe I drop out of the top 50k. And to me, I'd rather have a top 10k rank and not guarantee it, but play it as safe as I can and take the risk of being outside the top 50k. Because, yes, at the end of the season, I can say, oh, that's really annoying, I went for it, you know, and I didn't get it. But next season, when I'm looking at my ranks, all I'll see is a finish outside the top 50k, and I won't be too happy with that. So for me, I'm going to play safe-ish, knowing that the 3 chips will hopefully see me through. And just see how it goes, see how my rank's kind of at like Gameweek 36, 37, and maybe then I take a risk. Maybe Aguero's back, and instead of captaining Kane, I captain Aguero. And you could say captain Aguero is not a risk, but when everyone else is captaining Kane, then it does become a bit of a risk. So I'd like to know what your plans are basically on that, because I know I'll probably waffle for a bit there. But for me, I'm going to play it a bit safe, and knowing that the reward is hopefully a good rank, but not a really good rank. So we'll see how it goes. And then mini leagues, touch on this. This got asked. Basically, there's two different strategies you can play. If you're leading, you can start blocking, so you can bring in players you know your rival's going to get. They've got less ways of making up points. I think that's a bit. I think it's a bit negative. But if there's a big player they've got that you don't have, let's say they bring in Kane then for the double game and you've not got him, I would probably look to bring in Kane. If they had Willian, for example, and I thought, well, Willian might not do anything, I wouldn't look to start blocking with players like that. Now, it is a negative tactic. People don't like it, but it's what you've got to do towards the end of the season. And yes, of course, you can just play your own game and hope that sees you better. But when you're looking at someone like Harry Kane, or maybe they got Lukaku for Game Week 34, they're players that could do damage. You could go different, of course, and do better and increase the gap even further. But it is a tactic, and obviously, again, is it one that you would adopt? People will talk about it. Some people hate it. Some people love blocking it. And if you're chasing, obviously, sometimes what's not a differential for overall rank. So as an example, let's say your rival's not got Mahrez. For overall rank, Mahrez, especially in kind of the top 100k, I'd say he's quite well owned. But if your rival's not going, that's a huge differential. So you've got to start looking at your rivals' players and kind of forgetting about overall rank differentials, because if a player's low owned in the top 10k but your rival's got them, then they're in no way a differential in your mini league. So it depends what your target is. Personally, I always liked winning mini leagues, but now because I do this kind of stuff, I feel under a bit more pressure to have a good overall rank. So I don't tend to look at the players my mini league rivals have got so much. Yes, people always say that overall rank always helps in mini leagues. Of course it does, but when you get to the end of the season, you've got different players. You've got to start looking at that, I think. So that's one to think about if you're in your mini league. And then De Gea versus Ryan. I did have Ryan before last night's Scoutcast, and then to be fair, Az got me thinking, because he was saying, Ryan's kind of top end ceiling is 6 points. There's a good chance Brighton can see, because it's what they do, even though they're playing Huddersfield, they don't score too many goals. So they could get a clean sheet, but it's going to be 6 points. Whereas De Gea is playing a Man City side who've had a tough time in the Champions League tonight. They could have lost that game, morale could be down. Yes, it's a title game, but they could have nerves, feel under pressure to win it in that game. You just don't know how they're going to perform. And David De Gea then, if he gets a clean sheet, obviously he's got the 6 points, same as Ryan, probably going to get save points, because Man City will attack. He's in the form of his life right now, best keeper in the world arguably, so he can get those save points even against Man City. If he gets bonus points added on top, you're starting to look at a bigger ceiling for not too much risk. And then talking about ownership, De Gea's ownership is huge, and even if it's not him, Man United defenders in general are really highly owned. So if you go with that one and play Ryan, you could start to fall behind if Man United do keep a clean sheet. Now, will they keep a clean sheet? I don't know. Even if City do rest some players, they've got a pretty good B team. So I'm not expecting a clean sheet. But with the save points, there could be penalties in that game. Right now I'm playing De Gea because of the ownership, but I may switch back to Ryan, we'll see. But I'll talk about that and all these points, especially Salah. That is the huge talking point tonight. In the stream tomorrow, 9:30 PM UK time on Thursday. As always, we always stream that, if I can, that day before the game week. So make sure to tune into that. It's going to be a huge one this week. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, as always, much appreciated. Subscribe if you're new around here. Leave a comment below. Let me know how much rubbish I've talked, any points you agree with, anything you want to ask me. Always love seeing the comments and try and get through as many as I can. I'll leave it there. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Catch you later all. Cheers.